Well, I mean, anytime that you're in the moment and feeling the energy of an experience like what we had here in 2011, I mean, obviously you want it to go on forever. There are a lot of places to play around the world, and as the world, through technology and so on, is kind of shrinking. But, you know, there are very few experiences that we have, especially in some of the new places that are opening up for us to play in the last couple of years, where you don't feel like you want to come back, and it's kind of the first time is just kind of the first knocking on the door. And you know, at that time there was no plan to come back, but we always hoped to come back, and especially when we were here a year and a half ago, it was really magical. And I don't say that everywhere. I mean, it was you know, to obviously the people from the UAE, but there were so many kids that have come in from Iran, from Iraq, from Jordan, from Lebanon, from Syria, from Bahrain, from Saudi, from Kuwaiti. So lots of different kids, lots of different places, lots of different nationalities, but great energy and a great shared experience. And so when we got the offer to come back 3-4 months ago, we just, in Metallica, we call that a no-brainer. We just jumped on and said, of course, we would love to come back. And I think we're slowly starting to talk to people about what other places, potentially, I hear maybe we can play in Doha soon, maybe some other experiences around here. So there's so much passion here and so much love for the type of thing that we do, that and obviously it's somewhat of a new frontier. I don't know if it feels strange. It feels, I think it's more feels like it's a blessing, or it's something that we're very appreciative of. You know, when we started playing, you know, 100 years ago, you know, there were so many parts of the world where the type of music we were doing was not really accepted. There were a lot of places where the type of music we were doing was not really even like heard of. You know, people didn't even know what we were doing. There were a lot of places where logistically and practically, and there was not enough infrastructure to support a visit by a band like us. So obviously, like I said, with things, you know, when we started, you couldn't go into Eastern Europe. There were a lot of places you could barely play in Latin America. You could barely play in many places in Southeast Asia. Not a lot of bands had been to India. I don't believe anybody had been to the UAE at that time. So it's opening up, it's changing. The world is shrinking. Practically, and you know, the infrastructures in many countries are just now getting ready to support this type of stuff and these type of events. So it's great to be on the front lines. You gotta understand that, you know, no matter, for people, I've lived Metallica every day of my life for 32 years. And so it never goes anywhere from me. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, obviously I'm aware of the press. I'm aware of the sort of the perceptions, and you say resuscitation, and you know, Metallica, we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this again, and all of a sudden people go, they're back, you know, and that's okay. I mean, obviously when you've been doing this as long as we have, you have ups and downs, and people kind of, then they appreciate it, and then, well, they're playing with this, or they're doing this, or they're playing with a classical orchestra. I mean, there's so much different stuff that we do, because Metallica likes to explore and to quest our thirst for kind of diversity and new challenges. We do many different things, and not everybody appreciates that, and that's okay. Obviously, Death Magnetic was very positively received all over the world, and I'm very thankful for that. We're now in the middle of making a new record, and so when you make a new record, you have a tendency to revisit the one you made previously, and I've heard a little bit of Death Magnetic over the last couple of months, and it still sounds fantastic. So it'll be a difficult record to follow.